Hi, Haunted Heart fans. I'm Quill, and I'm one of the co-creators of The Tarot Reading. If you're in DC, I've got an experience for you. The Tarot Reading is an interactive variety show performing May 9th through the 26th, and I guarantee you have never seen anything like it. In it, eclectic artists perform variety show acts, each inspired by the tarot mythos. Each act is interactive and made for one adventurous and consenting audience member. What happens next can be almost anything. We've done seances, belly dances, mad science experiments, stand-up routines, role-playing games, Gestalt dream analysis, and that weird one involving a suitcase full of spam, just to name a few. Each one is always completely honest, totally amazing, and never happens the same way twice. So, if you believe in the magic that happens in unexpected places, please come experience the tarot reading. That's May 9th through the 26th in DC. You can find out more at thetarotreading.org. That's the tarot, T-A-R-O-T, reading.org. Don't forget to bring a sacrifice. I'm serious, I won't let you in without a sacrifice.
Is that a machete in your pocket, sir, or are you just happy to see me?
I'm just saying, why wouldn't you check the back seat?
I'm just not here for it.
I kind of enjoyed the axe to the face.
Ooh, hey there, Mr. Monster.
So, chill or kill. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the most unscripted version of the Haunted Heart podcast. That is Netflix and Kill.
Netflixing and killing. And let me tell you what I've been doing is dying.
You have been dying. So have I. We're both a struggle bus today, folks. I'm going to try to carry this show a little bit today.
With your, hoarse voice.
With my hoarse voice. All right, so it's funny because we've been doing a lot of posting in our groups about the strange little male-female Snapchat filters. Mm-hmm. And my woman one was like, everybody was telling me, I'm this, I'm a Tammy, I'm this and I'm that. I actually feel like a 40-year-old woman who has been smoking most of her life.
It's true.
And is trying to quit.
You kind of sound like it too.
But she's...
we just need to get you a stick of Nicorette so you can pop it in the mic.
Well, she's still eyeing them Virginia Slims. She's still eyeing them, folks.
Meanwhile, I had the stomach flu. So
simultaneously.
Yesterday. Yeah.
I don't know.
That usually happens, though. When one of us gets sick, the other one just fucking, sympathy illnesses or something.
Very empath of you.
It's not good. Take care of yourself, babe. But regardless, we are defeating our demons. Mm-hmm. We are defeating the diseases that are racking our bodies. Mm-hmm. And we are going to bring you some fucking horror review because it's the devil's work. And who's going to do it if not us?
Right. I mean, you can't help. Well, I'm not going to put that on the devil. The devil might not be trying to put us down.
No. Horror review is the devil's work.
Oh.
Nah.
Got it. Okay.
This right here is some, fucking... Somebody done put a fucking hex on me, bitch.
It's
I'm going to tell you what. You going to have to try harder if you trying to kill me. Because I'm coming for that ass. You let me get healthy. And I'm coming for you. I'm coming with my chicken bones. I'm coming with my fucking black salt. I'm coming with all my shit.
Yeah.
So, anyway. It's really hard for me to stick to a linear.
I'm so glad you guys love us.
He said, making an assumption.
Listen, if you're new, hey, how are you?
If you're new, you know what? Go ahead and skip this episode. Like, just fucking.
For real.
We're glad you're here, babe, but this is
Yeah.
like the advanced level. This is the 500 level course of the Haunted Heart. So you just need to fucking skip on, try you another episode. I promise it's not always this way, but this is for the diehards.
Yeah,
right
this
here.
is for those of you rolling in the deep with us. And you know what?
I cannot keep a fucking linear thought for more than 10 seconds.
Neither can I. So
So
what
here
did
we go.
watch? What did we watch?
We watched a film called Mercy Black. And I forget whose choice it was. Did you pick it or did I pick it?
I think we
you picked
kind
it.
of.
we
Yeah,
both
yeah,
pick
yeah,
it?
yeah. I did pick it.
Okay.
I
You
did
picked
pick it. Why did I pick it? Thank you for asking. No, I picked it because it looked cool. It sounded cool. There was no trailer for it. There's no trailer for this film on YouTube.
There's no trailer for it?
No.
Oh, I didn't know that.
No, there's no trailer for the film on YouTube, which is
Interesting.
yeah, the only thing you get is the Netflix, which is so weird when Netflix just starts the movie for you. Mm-hmm. I always hate that ever since
I
they
hate
started
it
doing
too.
that because it's like, well, I guess you're gonna watch this fucking
What
movie.
if I ain't got my fucking snacks ready, Netflix?
Right, it just fucking starts
I'm gonna miss
it.
the first scene. What if I ain't got my popcorn popped? What if I don't have my Sour Patch Kids ready?
What if I don't want to fucking watch it?
What if I don't want
It just starts it for you. Like, well, I'm just gonna go on now.
It's true. I don't like it. I feel like it's Netflix trying to take over more and more of our brains for sure.
Yeah.
But no, we picked it. I think we picked it because the tree branches looked super fucking cool. Because the poster and the way that it starts, I think, has a lot of like creepy looking tree branches, and we're kind of into that shit. So
We're into creepy looking tree branches.
we are. I will swipe right for creepy looking tree branches.
Amen.
Yeah, but so do you want to kind of give a bit of a plot synopsis and talk to us about what the movie itself is about, and I'll talk about some of the inspiration for the movie because it's actually based on a real life true crime case.
Ooh.
So you get a 2-in-1.
Yeah,
this
you
episode.
Do. You do. Okay. So essentially, Mercy Black is a 2019 American horror film written, directed by Owen Egerton. It stars Danielle Pineda as a woman who is released from a psychiatric hospital 15 years after stabbing a classmate because of an urban legend about a ghost known as Mercy Black. After her nephew Bryce becomes obsessed with the same ghost, she comes to believe the ghost may be real. So, the film was released to Netflix on March 31st, 2019, with, according to our Bible, Wikipedia, no prior announcement. They dropped it like Beyonce dropped an album, honey.
It was a sneak attack.
It was a sneak attack. They said, you know what? Netflix, we're going to drop it on you. And Netflix said, okay. And then they did, and they shit on them.
They shit on them.
Yeah, they said, some executive somewhere was like, oh, we're going to shit on them with this one. That's what's going to happen. Mm-hmm. Now, whether or not it did happen,
Whether it was successful.
you'll find out by the end of
Who
this
knows?
podcast if you stick with us. I'm looking at you, new listener, and you're sitting there and you're like, do I really fucking like these people? What's going on? I'm looking at you right now. I'm actually there in my fucking astral form right behind you. I'm looking at you as you're looking at your podcast.
All right,
app.
well, while you're there, why don't you give them a back rub? Because everybody can benefit from a nice shoulder rub.
That's true.
It's true. So, yes, this film, brand new, it was interesting. We'll get into more of the review later, but the film itself is actually based on a real case. And some of you, I bet, are familiar with this case because you're fucking weirdos like us. It's the 2016, or it's the case that inspired the 2016 documentary Beware the Slender Man. And if you haven't seen that documentary, I think it was available. I'm not sure if that one was an HBO one. I think initially it may have been. I thought it was on Netflix a while back. But you can find it. Just Google Beware the Slender Man. It's a really good documentary. If you haven't seen it, It's very fun. Well, it's not fun. It's very scary and unfortunate.
It's a fun ride.
No, but like, here's the thing. Like, documentary is not usually my style. You know, it's very, like Ken Burns bores me to death. I know that he's a national treasure, but he bores me to fucking death. But this particular documentary is very well done. It feels almost like a horror movie, in itself. It kind of is pretty scary. But it goes into this case that happened in 2014, May 31st of 2014 in Waukesha, Wisconsin.
Where's Kesha?
I don't know how to.
Where's she go?
Where's Kesha?
I ain't heard from her in a minute. Is this about her?
No, she came back, but she just took the $sign out.
Oh.
She's bumping.
Okay.
The Rainbow album. It was good. No, this was not good. So Waukesha, Wisconsin. I don't know why I want to put this case in Washington. I think it's because the documentary has lots of trees, and that's something I associate with Washington. Wisconsin's just full of cheese to me, and beer, and fried cheese in beer. Two 12-year-olds, Anissa Ware and Morgan Geyser, lured their friend Peyton Leutner into the woods and stabbed her 19 times in an attempt to impress the fictional character Slender Man. Peyton Leutner did crawl to a road where she was found because she's a fucking badass and a survivor, and she recovered after 6 days in the hospital. So that kind of is very, very much, obviously, the inspiration for the Mercy Black film. It's almost the opening scene of the film, which is the crime, is them sacrificing this girl to Mercy Black. That's pretty much a play-by-play of the crime that was committed. Dragging him through the forest and all the stabbing and stuff like that. I'm not sure about, they do cut the girl's finger off at some point, and I don't think that happened in the 2014 case, but it's pretty fucking close. Like, within the first 5 minutes of watching this movie, I was like, okay, this movie's based on that.
Yeah.
It's like a fictional retelling of that, which I have mixed feelings about.
Really?
I do. So, is it okay to get into spoilers yet?
I would say so. Spoiler alert, bitches.
Okay, so if you want to watch the film before you hear us kind of spoil some of it, some of the twists and turns, because there are a couple twists and turns, go watch the movie now, then come back to the podcast, okay? Get the fuck out.
We'll be waiting right here.
We'll be waiting right here for you. So,
all right,
now that
back.
those people are gone, now that those folks are gone, it gets tricky for me. I'm not sure about the ethical implications of taking something like a real life case, like the Slender Man case that actually happened, that was hugely devastating, not only to the victim, but also to the children who perpetrated this act. Now, I know there's a lot of, particularly on Anissa, there's a lot of, opinions on her. I mean, she does, in the documentary, she does seem very sociopathic, but she's still a fucking 12-year-old kid, right? I mean,
yeah,
it's two 12-year-olds committing a heinous crime against another 12-year-old. We're all dealing, like, they're all children, right? And obviously they need some in-depth psychological and psychiatric treatment. So taking a case like that, which only happened 5 years ago, and fictionalizing it and releasing it as a movie, I feel like is pretty fucking unethical. Because, like, what if one of those kids who were involved in that crime watches that film? I mean, obviously they shouldn't, but, like, I just feel like it's gross and, like, the worst kind of capitalism, because we're taking a tragedy that happened that was a tragedy for all three of those kids and turning it into entertainment, and I'm not really down with that.
You're not?
I'm not. It's different than, like, I didn't have a problem with the documentary because the documentary delved into a lot of, like, mental health issues and things like that, and I absolutely recommend that everybody watches that if you haven't seen it, the Beware the Slender Man documentary. But this film, like, the aesthetics of the film were very good, and like I said, the Creepy Tree Ranches were awesome, and I could have gotten into it if I didn't know that it was based on a real crime that actually occurred to, like, real people that involved real children. Then with the twist at the end where the victim, who turns out to be the librarian, right? Mm-hmm. Who definitely, I called her the lesbian librarian because she definitely seems like, you know,
There were vibes.
she was less. She was
were-
less for sure.
Less.
I mean, she was
Or
cute.
bi, possibly,
I liked her
you know.
until she got all crazy.
Very true.
Yes, until she got cray. I liked her. But her character wanting to be a sacrifice towards the end, like, to me that was, you're taking a story that is basically about a child who was assaulted and stabbed 19 times, and you're turning it into, like, now the person in the story who's supposed to represent that real life person, like, wants to be a sacrifice to this urban legend thing and wants you to kill her. And it's just like, it just got really smarmy for me. I wasn't able to separate the film itself, which I think is an okay film, the aesthetic is decent, from the case that it had basically, like, ripped all its information from. And I just felt like it was such a ethically questionable choice to do that I just couldn't vibe with it.
There's also the sort of underlying theme of mental illness, which is there as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
And I know that it sort of received some negative reviews for just sort of having the vibe that it exploited mental illness a little bit, and just using it as a plot device instead of making actual intelligent observations or commentary about mental illness.
Yeah.
So I can see that. A lot of films sort of get that critique. Like, I know Split had that critique as well.
Now, see, I don't
But-
really mind. I don't mind mental illness being a part of horror because I think it's one of the first genres that we actually were able to start exploring mental illness and start, having a conversation, I guess, opening up a conversation. And so I kind of think that I don't mind a horror film that's like, is this creepy thing that's manifesting? Is it just in this person's head? Is it like a symptom of an illness, or is it real, or yada, yada, yada? But to me, this film went too much back and forth. And then it ended up being real and not mental illness at all. But yet we spent all this time, like, I don't think I could decide what it wanted to fucking be.
Yeah, it was one of those things where, like you said, it just sort of went back and forth. It was like, okay,
Right.
Is this an actual entity? Oh, so we, have little moments where we think it's an entity. And then it's like, oh, well, is it just in our head? Or is it someone else? Like, at some point throughout the
Right.
film, I was like, is it a third person?
That would have been cool.
Right. And
But it
at
leaves
one
you
point,
with
I
not
thought
really
it was
knowing.
going to be a third
Yeah.
person because I thought the victim
Right.
or the person at the twist ending, the librarian, I thought she was going to be the person that was like
Doing all of it.
Mercy Black doing it all as sort of like revenge.
Yeah,
You know what I
which
mean?
would
Like,
have been, again, something we could follow.
right. Like, she survived this horrific incident, sort of had this moment where she wanted to get revenge on the two girls, and so just sort of took on Mercy Black as her, her thing.
Yeah.
That's kind of towards the end of the film. That's kind of where my head was going, but the fuck
But
do
then,
I
of
know?
course, at the very end of the film, Mercy Black turns out to, like, actually be an entity, or everything that they've done has created her as an entity, and it's not like all of a sudden she's here, and then the little boy is, stabs the librarian through the eye and apparently is, like, now a murderer. So,
Yeah, I
which
don't-
also seemed like such a weird loose end, because what? I get that it's a cool visual, but what?
Yeah, it was just really interesting because so you have this figure that the girls made that they call Mercy Black, and they had to they had to give her something, or they added something to this what do you call it? Not icon, but like
An icon. No,
is it
that's an icon. Yeah.
All right, so icon.
Like,
There's
they
another
built
word.
a figure of her.
There's another word that I'm trying to think of. I can't think of it right now because my brain is just running on a prayer. Anyway, yes, so this icon of her, and so it sort of, I guess, gives her power, but in a actual, like, it makes her come alive, not like something metaphorical.
Yeah, so I think there's a couple different things going on there. I'm not sure if the directors and the writers of this film knew about the concept of a tulpa. It's a very interesting concept.
I remember you saying something about that.
Yes, yeah. So a tulpa is an idea, very similar to like an urban legend or something like that. An idea that you have of something, and the fear of that thing gives it the power to manifest. So if we think about something like Slender Man, or like Mercy Black in this film, it's like a story that one person tells to another person, and then that other person gets creeped out and weirded out by it, and they're afraid of it, and then they tell it to another person, and then that person's afraid of it, and then the collective fear of this entity gives it the energy, the power, whatever, to manifest,
Right,
and become an actual physical thing in this universe, that can, act on other physical things in this universe, including people. So I'm not sure if they knew about the concept of a tulpa, but that's basically what you're dealing with in this movie, is that all these people have heard the legend of Mercy Black, and they have, felt some sort of fear or some sort of belief in it, and then that kind of caused the thing to actually manifest.
right. Or like even with the case that this was inspired by, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, it may not actually, like, Slender Man may not have actually come into this plane of existence because everybody believed in him, but it made a human connection, and that horrible thing happened.
Right.
So these things can have actual consequences to them, not just like
Right.
creating silly urban legends.
Right. Which is an interesting story to tell. Like, tulpas are one of my favorite sort of things to research because it's so interesting, and I think it is a powerful sort of principle, kind of, that you can out of nothing, with just your fear of nothing, create something to be afraid of.
Kind of like when you haven't eaten anything and you vomit something.
Yeah, very familiar with that. Very familiar with that.
Yes.
But so that concept, the concept of a tulpa, is a very interesting thing, I think, to explore in horror. However, again, I think that this movie, you can explore that concept without point by point ripping off an actual case that happened to actual people. And I just feel like that to me is so... I mean, okay, so like the true crime community gets a lot of shit for, idealizing, some people say idealizing figures like Ted Bundy and Ed Kemper and, BTK and all those motherfuckers. And people can make the argument like, okay, but you're profiting off of these crimes that these people did by telling their stories and talking about them. Like, that's a big issue in true crime. But I think for me and for a lot of the true crime, podcasters and shows and things that I engage with, like, it's not about deifying those people. It's not about glorifying them, and it's not about making them the scariest motherfuckers on the planet, because that's what they wanted. It's about looking at the shit that they did and basically tearing apart the story so that they're not on some sort of weird demonic pedestal. They're just, normal people who were fuck-ups. Colossally. Right. And I think the Mercy Black movie kind of weirdly deified that crime. I don't think that I think you could take inspiration from the concept of a tulpa, or from the concept of like some urban legend becoming so real that you're willing to act out in real life in that way against a fellow person, but it doesn't need to be the exact story of what happened in Wisconsin, because...
Well, there's a difference between education and exploitation.
Right. It was totally exploitative, I think.
It would have had a different, had it, actually have been, educational,
right,
or something. If there was something that you could have learned, either about, something, or or the victim. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. There's a difference. There's a fine line there. And I just think that it was, I kind of agree. I just think that it sort of went in a direction that was like, oh, look at this weird, interesting thing that happened. Like,
Right.
here's a movie. Let's make a movie about it.
Right. And let's just like take it case by case and then slap some weird ending onto it.
Yeah.
The minute that I, like, probably within the first 5 to 10 minutes, I was like, I'm uncomfortable with this. Because I'm really familiar with that case.
Yeah.
And, like, coming into it knowing that's what it was about. I think if you didn't know that about that case, if you didn't know that that had happened, you might have a different perspective on the movie because it looks, like, fresh to you. Right? It seems like a plot that somebody scripted out, but actually they just ripped it out of a case.
Yeah.
So I think if you didn't know about that case, it could be an interesting movie. But knowing that that is where they took this from, to me, makes it unethical, which is why I have to kill it.
Yeah. Well, let's get into a few reviews as well. So it currently has 33% on our tomato meter.
33?
33%.
Okay.
1.5 stars.
Yeah.
And I'm going to read both a positive and a negative review. So, I forget. Which ones are the negative ones? The green ones? Yes.
Yeah.
All right, negative review first. If having their own Momo is Netflix's latest attempt to grab viewers, they're going to need a much more disturbing monster.
Yes. I mean, and that's fair. We can get into that. That fucking...
I'm not going to get into
no.
Momo.
No, not Momo.
No Momo, ho.
No.
At least not on this episode.
The character design for Mercy Black, like, what is that?
I don't know.
What was
she
that?
Was like, it reminded me of like a coat rack that stands in the corner of your fucking living room that you put the coats on that you don't actually use, and like a hat. Like maybe for Thanksgiving, your grandmother comes over and puts her ugly hat on it, and she's the only one that uses it. That's what that reminded me of. It wasn't terrifying at all.
It wasn't. It was very, and maybe they were going for childish, but it was very, like, the mask looked like it was made out of clay, and it had these, like, crude holes cut in it. And it was like they were going for some sort of, like, childish look that would be scary, but
Yeah.
it was not scary.
Yeah.
It just looked like it actually looked like a rotten tomato. Now that I think about it.
Okay. All right, so our next one. Egerton hones his focus into sharper screams and audiences delight most of all. More of this, Owen Egerton, please. More of this, Owen Egerton, please. Have we just found Blumhouse's latest in-house workman?
I don't think we have. I don't think Blumhouse is a fucking.
Blumhouse or Bloomhouse?
I always say Blumhouse.
I say Blumhouse too. I'm sorry if it's Blumhouse.
No, they're such a good production studio for horror, and they've done so many good things, and then this is not. I hope this isn't the fucking new direction that they're going in.
Wait, did they produce it?
Yeah, they did.
That might have been another factor why I really wanted to watch it. Because, I mean,
Yeah.
typically they're like on
Their stuff is
shit.
really good. Yeah. Maybe not. Maybe not this time.
So, yeah. So, with all of that being said, my review, I'm going to have to kill it.
Yeah.
It just wasn't, there's no rewatch value to it. There's no
I'm not really
real-
sure there's any watch value to it.
No, it might have value for someone. There's no real like scare factor. Besides maybe one moment, and I was like, "Oh, okay," but that went by so fast I had to like watch it again. Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna have to kill it.
Yeah. I agree with you. I kill it for ethical reasons. Don't fucking rip plots off of actual murders that happen to people. That's smarmy. Write your own shit. Be creative.
I just killed it because I don't like it.
That too. All right. Well, there you go. We fucking made it through.
Fuck,
I don't know
bitch.
what we talked about. I hope it was enough
I don't remember.
for you. I don't remember
Hi,
what we
welcome
said.
back to the Haunted Heart podcast. We're finished.
Yep. No, this is
We're
the outro,
finished.
not the intro.
Thank God.
Jesus.
God almighty.
All right, guys. We are going to drink a shitload of hot tea and take some fucking naps. And until next time.
Hold on. I bet I can do this real good.
Go ahead.
No, but you also
Wait,
have to do it.
I have to do it. Wait, what's happening?
I don't know what's happening. I just feel like I feel like I could do. Hold on. I'll start us off. All right, guys. Until next time, you gotta stay spooky.